by itself, it's one sin, but it leads to thousands of sins, and that is misusing of the sight. It's one sin by itself, but it opens up the doors of a lot of evils. And there is one good that I have personally seen in many people. It's one good by itself, but wallah, it opens up the doors of thousands of goods, and that is the lengthening of the beard. As long as you will not lengthen your beard and resemble the appearance of Nabi alayhi salam, you will camouflage your identity wherever you travel. Let's be honest, brothers, and let's acknowledge it from our heart. You will camouflage and you will disguise. But yes, this will clearly depict you in society as a Muslim, as a lover of the sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this one quality will motivate you further and enhance your spirituality towards the obedience of Allah Ta'ala. Nevertheless, Musa alayhi salam grabs his brother. The brother then seeks the sympathy. So he says, Yabna Umma, oh the son of my mother. He doesn't say, oh my brother, or my biological brother. He says, oh the son of my mother. The commentators say when he used the word mother, he was playing on sensitive grounds. He was using the term sympathy. Mother denotes sympathy. Wherever the term mother is used, it means sympathy. The hadith I quoted in the beginning, the riwayat is in Bukhari Sharif. A person comes to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Nabi of Allah, who is most deserving for my best relation? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, your mother. O Nabi of Allah, next in merit, your mother. O Nabi of Allah, next in merit, your mother. O Nabi of Allah, after that, then on the fourth instance, the Nabi of Allah says, your father. 3 times in succession, the Nabi of Allah says, your mother. One Sahabi comes to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, aradtul jihad. O Nabi of Allah, I want to go in the path of Allah and fight in the path of Allah. وَجِئْتُ أَسْتَشِيرُكَ, but I thought I will come and put my situation before you and take advice from you. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, هَلْ لَكَ مِنْ أُمٍّ, do you have a mother? I said, yes. The Sahabi says, I answered, yes. Nabi alayhi salam said, إِلْزَمْهَا فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ إِنْدَ رِجْلِهَا. Go and secure a good relation with your mother. Serve your mother and Jannat is yours. Brothers, this hadith, many a times we want to apply it on other situations. Delay your vacation and serve your mother. Delay your holiday and serve your mother, and the Nabi of Allah says it is Jannat for you. Another hadith in Durr Manthur, Allah Akbar, when I read this riwayat, Nabi alayhi salam says, Abdullah ibn Umar is the narrator of this hadith. Listen to this, brothers. لَنَوْمُكَ عَلَى السَّرِيرِ بَيْنَ وَالِدَيْكَ وَتُضْحِكَهُمَا وَيُضْحِكَانِكَ أَفْضَلْ مِنْ جِهَادِكَ بِالسَّيْفِ. O my Sahabi, your presence, sitting on a bed, the words of the hadith, you're sleeping or sitting on a bed in front of your mother and bringing joy to her. Just bringing happiness to her. Wallah, that is what the mothers are wanting. How many mothers told me, the only complaint I have is tell my son not to shout me. Tell him not to be vulgar. Tell him not to be harsh with me. Tell him not to raise his voice in front of his wife. That woman who came in his life today, has he forgotten me for the sake of this one woman? Oh my Sahabi, it is better for you to sit in front of your mother, تُضْحِكَهُمَا, and make her laugh. When thousands of youth are making their mothers cry, where are those youth that will make their mothers smile? When thousands of youth are making their mothers restless, where are those youth that will bring soothe and joy and happiness? That when the mother turns this side, it's a pain of agony for one child that is away from home. When will it be when the other son can come and bring joy and happiness? That when she thinks of you also, it's joy. When she lifts her hands also, it's dua. When in the dead of night also your thought comes, it must be dua. Nabi alayhi salam says, your presence before your mother and telling a happy word and telling a good word is better for you than holding the sword in your hand and fighting in the ferocious battle and killing the kuffar. Bringing joy to your mother at your home is better for you. So the Sahabi comes, O Nabi of Allah, I want to make jihad, but I have come to take your permission. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, do you have any parents? I said, yes, I have my mother. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, فَاتَّقِ اللَّهَ فِيهَا فَإِذَا فَعَلْتَ ذَلِكَ فَأَنْتَ حَجٌّ وَمُعْتَمِرٌ وَمُجَاهِدٌ. Secure your relation with your mother. If you have done that, in the eyes of Allah, you made Hajj also, you made Umrah also, you made Jihad also. If you've done that, you've made Hajj, you've made Umrah, you've made Jihad, you've made everything. Secure your relation. Allahu Akbar. One Sahabi says, I was sitting with Nabi alayhi salam in a place called Ji'irrana. And Nabi alayhi salam was giving some meat to those Sahaba that were sitting. يَقْسِمُ لَحْمًا إِذْ أَقْبَلَتْ إِمْرَأَةٌ. Suddenly one woman came advancing towards the Nabi of Allah. He stood up in respect, in awe. بَسَطَ لَهَا رِدَاءُهُ. He took out his shawl. He told the Sahaba to move. And he told the woman to come and sit down. Sahaba are all perplexed. Who is this woman that enjoys such hospitality at the hands of Nabi alayhi salam? The Sahabi was the narrator of the hadith says, I tapped the other Sahabi. I said, who is this woman? So he said, Hiya ummuhu allati irda'athu. This is his foster mother who suckled him when he was a child. Brothers, this is the obligation to a foster mother. You tell me what will be your obligation to your biological mother. Allahu Akbar. I haven't got time to explain. Mufti Taqi Uthmani Damat Barakatum writes in the Risala where he speaks about Hajj and Qurbani on page 29. He says when Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam was taken by the father to be slaughtered on the command of Allah, and they came at that precise location where son and father got ready on the command of Allah. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. And then the son tells the father, oh my father, I think preferably you turn my head down so that there's no eye contact, so that you do not become reluctant while you slaughter. It must not happen, there's eye contact and then there's a bit of reluctancy while you are in the order of Allah. But then he goes on to say, and that's the point I deduce from this quotation. Oh my father, when you slaughter me, in my human reaction I will kick. And when I kick, my clothes will be stained with blood. And believe it or not, this will be the only garment that my mother will cherish. I don't want it to be stained with blood to aggravate the agony of my mother when I'm gone. Once upon a time, the Ismail of this ummah was so sensitive to the sentiments of his mother, who took into cognizance the joy of his mother while dying on the command of Allah. What has happened to the Ismail of today, that boldly, loudly, clearly, repeatedly, aggressively speaks to his mother, in the presence of his mother. The Nabi of Allah said, no farz namaz, no nafil namaz, no hajj, no zakat is accepted of that man who gives preference to his wife over his mother. One person came to Hussein radiallahu anhu. You're such a pious man, but I never see you eating with your mother. He said, come I tell you why I don't. أَخَافُ أَن تَسْبَقَ يَدِي يَدَهَا إِلَى مَا تَسْبَقُ عَيْنَيْهَا. If I eat with my mother, I fear, out of the sheer respect that I have for her, it mustn't happen that her gaze falls on a morsel and I pick up that morsel which she has intended to eat. If I do that, I consider myself to be disobedient to my mother. Brothers, there are riwayat upon riwayat in the books of hadith. Two things I want to still mention. One is, as I mentioned, the relation between mother and wife. This is a very sensitive relation. I personally have been involved in many marriages which are in jeopardy because of this relation. I'm going to prove, or I'm going to present two hadith to substantiate my pattern of thought in what I am suggesting and advocating at this juncture. It's very important, it's very sensitive. The first hadith is narrated in Jam'ul Fawaid. The narrator of the hadith is Aisha radiallahu anha. When Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, أَعْظَمُ النَّاسِ حَقًّا أَعْظَمُ النَّاسِ حَقًّا عَلَى الرَّجُلِ أُمُّهُ وَأَعْظَمُ النَّاسِ حَقًّا عَلَى الْمَرْأَةِ زَوْجُهَا. The greatest obligation a woman owes is to her spouse and her husband. And the greatest obligation a man owes is to his mother. Let's analyze this hadith of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The first hadith, the greatest obligation on a man is to his mother. And the greatest obligation on a woman is to her husband. The second hadith, it's narrated by Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, it's in Bayhaqi. Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Man asbaha muti'an lillahi fi waliday. He who gets up obeying Allah with regards to his parents, asbaha lahu babani maftuhani min al-jannah. He gets up in such a way, the two doors of Jannat are open for him. وَمَنْ أَصْبَحَ عَاصِيًا لِلَّهِ فِي وَالِدَيْهِ. And he who gets up disobeying Allah with regards to the relation of his parents. While you and I sit here and I focus on the elderly people with utmost respect, perhaps you might think this is a wonderful topic for my son to be present. I'm asking you, oh my respected father and oh my respected uncle, those that are elder than me in age, with utmost respect, while you want your son to respect you, my cry to you is, my call to you is, when last have you visited the grave of your mother? When last have you visited the grave of your father? The riwayat appears in Musnad Ahmad. The Nabi of Allah says, some people enjoy high abodes in Jannat. Then they ask Allah, Allah, but I did not perform this. Allah says, no, every day your son is making dua for you. This is the reward. Brothers, I'm addressing a congregation that is fairly affluent. Allah has given you wealth. The Nabi of Allah says, one of the best ways you can reward your parents after their demise is to initiate Sadaqah-e-Jariyah. Sadaqah-e-Jariyah has various forms. One of the best things the Nabi of Allah says is to make water available to people. Nabi alayhi salam says, make water available to people. Some remote place, some jungle, some part of Africa, where people will come and drink that water. Brothers, wallah, you can give your health and your wealth. Like one man told me so sadly, he says, Maulana, I'm so sad that when I had my parents, I didn't have hidayat, nor did I have wealth. Allah took my parents away. Today Allah gave me health also, Allah gave me wealth also. I have the money. I wish I could take them for Hajj, but they are gone. I wish I could take them for... One day I spoke about the respect of parents, and I came out, there were a lot of brothers that were crying. He came to me, one brother, he embraced me. He says, Maulana, you are lucky, you can go and knock the door of your mother and ask for forgiveness. Ask me. I know how many times I've hurt my mother. Where do I knock? Who do I knock? What do I do? I spoke about, many years ago, I gave a talk, and I spoke about the harms of giving priority to your wife over your mother. As I walked out of the masjid, there was a brother who was sobbing, literally sobbing, brothers. He came, he embraced me, and then he says, you know, today you've opened up a reality to my life, and you've opened my eyes. And I remember that brother, I wasn't even married. He says, Maulana, may Allah make it easy for you. And may Allah reward you for the advice that you have given me. But believe me, the day the reality will prevail on you, and this will stay at you, the situation is totally different. Nevertheless, I come back to this hadith, there's so much to mention. لو علم الله شيئا من العقوق أدنى من أف لنهى عن ذلك. If there was any way of disobeying your mother less than the word uff, Allah would have even made that forbidden. فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَاقُ مَا شَاءَ أَن يَعْمَلْ. Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu says, tell the disobedient son to do whatever he wants to. He will be deprived of the fragrance of Jannat. إِيَّاكُمْ وَعُقُوقَ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. The riwayat appears in Abu Dawud. The Nabi of Allah says, whatever sin you do, Allah will punish you in Akhirat. But there's one sin if you do, Allah won't leave you here, nor will Allah leave you there. And that is disobedience to parents. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz advises Ibn Mahran. He says, I give you three advices. لا تأتين أبواب السلاطين وإن أمرتهم بمعروف أو نهيتهم عن منكر. Don't sit in the company of the kings and the rulers. Even if your endeavors are noble to invite them towards good, you will be engulfed with materialism. وَلَا تَخْلُوَنَّ بِامْرَأَةٍ وَإِنْ عَلَّمْتَهَا سُورَةً مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Don't sit in seclusion with a woman even if you are teaching the Quran. وَلَا تَصْحَبَنَّ عَاقًا لِوَالِدَيْهِ. Don't ever befriend a man who is disobedient to his parents. Allah has no regard for him. We conclude with this hadith where I urge the brothers in this gathering. Brothers, if you have offended your mother, from today onwards, I ask you to go back and speak to your wife and tell her. This is what I told my wife, and I'm mentioning, and I've said it to a lot of times on a lot of occasions. Indeed, it's a hostile relation. Let me explain this hadith. Perhaps it will make it easier for you to comprehend what I'm saying. The Nabi of Allah says, if you disobey your parents, two doors of Jahannam are opened. The Sahabi says, but what happens if your parents oppose you and they oppress you? Nabi alayhi salam said, وَإِن ظَلَمَاهُ وَإِن ظَلَمَاهُ وَإِن ظَلَمَاهُ. Even if they oppress you not once or twice or thrice, if you disobey them, Jahannam is open for you. He will be guilty for his wrong, she will be guilty for her wrong. But as a child, at no rights is it correct for you to raise your voice in front of that woman that suckled you, that nursed you, that carried you, that bore you, that took you from pain to pain. Brothers, tell your wife from today onwards. Perhaps your relation between my mother and you is hostile. Whatever differences you have, take it in your heart and in your qabr. If you will make me happy, and that's my concluding advice, let's look at the situation objectively. The greatest obligation of the wife is to the husband. The greatest obligation of the husband is to the mother. You serve my mother and don't wait for a jazakallah from my mother. I am happy with you. If I am happy with you, the Nabi of Allah says, your Jannat is done. If my mother is happy with me, my Jannat is done. That which is jeopardizing our marriages and breaking our marriages, why not look at it with a spiritual eye? Oh my wife, Jannat is for you, Jannat is for me. May Allah Ta'ala dawn upon us the reality of the ni'mat of our parents. Those of us that our parents are gone, brothers, let us go to their covers and cry. Let us make dua to Allah. Let us give charity in the path of Allah Ta'ala. Those of us that our parents are alive. We do not believe in Mother's Day. It's an insult to your mother to honor her one day in the year. Allah, every day, every moment, every second is a Mother's Day. And if you are going to give her a gift on a Mother's Day, then apart from it, being wrong, you will be harmed because it is coming in the resemblance of the enemies of Islam. Every day take a gift, but of course not in the resemblance of kuffar. May Allah Ta'ala give our parents long life. May Allah give them barakat in their health and their wealth. May Allah give them a befitting reward. May Allah give them. Brothers, I know personally, with tears I can tell you, I was studying and I left the madrasa and I did not want to study. Allah reward my father who held me with such kindness and love and mercy. I think of this and a shiver goes down my body, and he held me and he embraced me. He says, oh my boy, go and study, there's a future ahead. But with such kindness and love that he told me, if it wasn't for that advice, perhaps I would have never been here. May Allah give him the best of reward for the wonderful advices that he has given. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.